How many of you have walked into a dealership to purchase a car? If you were the age of 20 or under, I would like to make an educational guess that it wasn't as simple as you expected. The biggest obstacle for young adults in making large purchases that require a loan is credit. Credit is a score or numerical value that basically sums up your risk factor. This can be a large red flag to providers and can hold many young adults back from starting their lives. Don't get me wrong, I understand why providers use credit. They need to protect themselves, and that's respectable. The issue being quality young adults denied the start of their life based on a practice that is not always taught nor understood by those affected. Providing information on how to build credit can help unaware young adults start their financial life in a positive way, allowing for these large necessary purchases like a vehicle or a house. So how do you, young adults, not only learn about credit, but start to build your credit score? I've told you the definition of a credit score. Now let's talk about what a good credit score value would be. A good credit score can be anywhere from 621 to 740. Credit scores are made up of payment history, outstanding balances, length of credit history, and types of credit accounts. When applying for a loan, your credit score can not only allow you to be accepted for a loan, but also give you good rates on making payments on your loan. Now this sounds really easy. It sounds like, if you make your payments, you're gonna have a good score. It's not that simple. Credit cannot be built overnight. It's stated that it can take 6 months of credit activity for a FICO score to be considered, which is used in 90% of lending decisions, quoted by The Balance. That means that a young adult will have to be building their credit for half a year before they can be considered for a loan. Now, let's say you get kicked out of your parents' house. What do? You want to go buy a house, you need a loan. To get a loan, you need credit. So you decide to go rent a place. Well, most landlords nowadays require a payment history before they'll allow to rent from you, or for you to rent from them. So you need credit. It's not something you can just skip over. So credit can be this huge obstacle to your life moving forward. Now this is a very harsh reality. Not everyone will be kicked out of their parents' home, but my bluntness is not to discourage, but to provide you with information that makes you think of how real and how important credit can be. As I've researched, I've realized how important it is and how much it can affect the beginning of my life. So how do you build credit? Now, before I get started on the different ways, let's talk about a loophole that I used when I was purchasing my car when I was 18. It was, a Chevy Malibu, and it was more than I could afford. I could make a down payment, I had been saving money, but I couldn't pay the whole car off. Luckily, my parents are very supportive, and my dad decided to co-sign. Basically, a co-signer is someone who has good credit, and they decide to sign documents that say, if they can't make their payment, I will make it. The problem being, the payments will fall back on them, but also their credit score can be affected by your bad choices. So basically, this is a huge leap of faith. This is a huge trust factor. My dad had to trust that I would make my payments or he would be affected. This is not an option for everyone because of how big of a leap of faith it is. If you need to build your score and you don't have a credit history and you don't have the option of a cosigner, there are a couple things you can do. You can get a secured credit card, which requires a deposit. You can get a credit builder loan. So there are avenues for people who don't have a credit history that the government has made. So this credit builder loan is basically a loan that is put directly into a savings account and you make payments on it, including interest, and that builds your credit. You can also piggyback off of other users, so as they build their credit, they're also building your credit. They make good payments, your credit builds. Another option would be to see if they would accept past utilities and rent that don't usually affect your credit, and see if they would use that to basically be considered like a credit. It'd be a form of positive record of payments. Basically, knowledge of credit scores can open many, many doors, but there are also many harsh realities. There are plenty of ways to have quality score building tactics and to start your financial life in a positive way. You just have to learn them. Credit scores can allow for building and success and, purchases when you're young. You just have to find a way to get to that financial independence, and it is in reach. You just have to realize how important credit scores are and put in the work and understand what you are learning about them.